Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a good day. It's been quite interesting here in Boston because it's been quiet. So today, the last of our 7 children that are leaving to camp left. So we have 3 kids in the Poconos in a camp called Camp Amuna. One is a teenage camper, one is a younger camper. Sarah, Necha, and Mushki is a staff. And then we have Levi and Maishi and Ellie in Georgia. They went to camp in Atlanta, an overnight camp, and Yisrael is in Muncie. So I'm 70% down on kids in the house. I know some of you might say, Rabbi, to us that's a full home, but to me, 3 kids is small, quiet time. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with my time, how to keep myself busy, studying, spending more time with Gurney, which is a good thing. I don't know if she thinks the same way, but at least that's what I think, that it's good time. And the weather's been beautiful, so it's a blessing. And I wanted to tell you a little Dvar Torah on today's portion. Something very powerful and deeply meaningful, although some might think it's simple. So this week's Torah portion, remember Moses is punished, he hit the rock, God says you're not going to go into the Holy Land. Moshe Rabbeinu is ready to pass away soon, and God turns to Moses in a very emotional discussion. He says, God, may the Spirit of God command a new leader upon the Jewish people. That will go out in front of them and will come in front of them, will protect them, will be there for them for all their needs, spiritual, material, guidance. Moses realizes that his time is coming to an end, and sooner than later he's not going to be able to be the leader of these children that he shepherded for so many years. It's so much devotion and commitment. And he turns to Hashem and he says, God, bring them a new leader who will be someone that will fulfill that obligation, that will be there to soothe them and to care for them in crisis and to love them and to guide them when they need it. And God tells Moses that Joshua is the man, and he asks Moshe Rabbeinu to put his hands on Joshua and to give him the Spirit of God, which he will continue nurturing the Jewish people. And then right afterwards, the Torah tells us, God tells Moses, and he commands Moses, command the Jewish people, and you shall tell them, as karbani lachmi liyishai, that my bread, my sacrifice, my bread that they bring me, they should bring it every day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And we spoke about this a little earlier this week. And the rabbis always tell us, what's the connection? What's the juxtaposition between God telling the Jewish people, Moses pleading with God that he should find a new leader, and God telling Moses, listen, I want my daily bread from the Jews in the morning and evening, don't forget about that. And the Midrash tells us a fascinating parable. It says, imagine there's this king whose wife is dying and he's about to become a widower. And before she passes away, she's sick, she calls in her husband, she says, listen, I've been nurturing our children for such a long time, I've been looking after them, I've been caring for them, I'm going to pass away now. I want to make sure that you're going to take care of my kids, that you're going to look after them, that you're going to care for them. So the king says to his wife, you're right. Of course, I should look after the kids and I should care for them. But you know what? You weren't just the mother of the kids. You were my wife, and you looked after me. You made sure that the children respected me, that the children cared for me, that the children came to visit me, that the children thought about my needs and were in touch with me. But now you're going to be gone. Please make sure that my children should also look after me. Don't just worry about me looking after them. Look for me to worry after. Look for them to worry after me. Says the Midrash. Moses comes to God and says, God, I need you to look after these kids. I need to get a leader of your children, our children, that they should be looked after. So God says, what about me? But the question is simple, and it's quite shocking. What's going on here? Moses, I understand. Moses watched the Jews for 40 years in the desert. They bickered and they fought with God constantly. He had to protect them from God's wrath more than once, more than twice. And he knows their nature, and he knows how needy they are for God. So therefore he pleads with God, find me a new leader that's going to take care of them. But God, isn't God infinite? Isn't he omnipotent? Isn't he omniscient? God needs something from the Jewish people? What kind of silly and trivial thing is this that God says, you know what? You're worried about the Jews, what about me? How are they going to be with me? Come on. Doesn't make sense, right? So now I want to tell you one of the greatest revolutionary ideas in Judaism, which is a foundation and a premise in how the Jews view this world and our relationship with God. And this is something that Rebbe said in a talk in 1951, I think. And the Rebbe says like this. The Rebbe says, God is infinite, and God is omniscient, and God is omnipotent, and God is omnipresent. But God desired a relationship with us human beings, with us people. He craved and he yearns to have a relationship with us. So just like in any relationship, not just do kids need parents, but parents always also need kids, right? Imagine if your kids stop coming to visit you. How many parents complain and cry, Rabbi, my kids don't visit me, they don't think about me. As much as our kids need us to take care of them, we need our kids. We love them. We want a relationship with them. We crave seeing them. And we crave engaging with them. We love them, but we need them too. Says the Rebbe that God, because he's infinite, chose a relationship with who? There's so many angels, and there's so many spheres, and there's so many worlds, and there's so many levels. That God chose to have a relationship with the Jewish people. With us. And therefore he tells to Moshe, look, you're worried about who's going to take care of the Jewish people. I understand, and I'll be there. But please let the Jewish people know as Karbani Lachmi Lishai. I need my bread. I crave a relationship with them. I need to be engaged with them. I need them as much as they need me. Today we don't have sacrifice, but what do we have instead? We have prayer. God says to his children, I want a relationship with you. I want to connect to you. What a powerful idea that only Judaism tells us. Who would think it? Everyone thinks about God so big. We're insignificant. We're tiny little molecules. And there's billions and billions like us. What are we? We're like a speck of dust to God. But Judaism revolutionized the idea that God needs and wants and cares for a relationship for each and every one of us. Imagine how many people, as a rabbi, that so many people come to me. Kids, teenagers, adults, senior citizens say, Rabbi, I don't feel needed. I don't feel that I'm wanted. My life is insignificant. My life is irrelevant. I don't feel that someone needs me. I have no reason to live. I have no joy in life because I'm not needed. Says the Rebbe to us that God tells every single one of us. When Moshe says, God, who's going to look after for the Jews? God says, I'll look after them, but let them know as Karbani Lachmi Lishai, I need them. If you have a child, if you have a son, a daughter, a teenager, a spouse who feels insignificant, who feels not needed, who feels irrelevant, let them know that God needs and craves a relationship with every single one of them. And they are here to accomplish something that God needs from them that no one else could do. One of the greatest things that Rebbe tells us always is that your birthday is the day that God decided that the world can survive without you. We're not insignificant. We are the ones who change the world. God needs people with big hearts to care. God needs intelligent people to teach. God needs people with beautiful voices to sing. God needs us. And when you tell that to a teenager, when you tell that to an adult, when you tell that to someone that's in pain, imagine the power of how it makes them feel. How many kids of ours are in therapy today because they feel they have no value to their life? Imagine if they recognize that the day they were born is the day that God realized the world can't exist without them. Imagine if they realize that God wants and needs a relationship with them. How would they see things? It would be different. We're missing this ingredient from telling our children, from giving them that gift that their relationship with God is needed and it's wanted. You know, Rabbi Telushkin, the great author, wrote many books. So he wrote a book on the Rebbe, which many of you have read. I recommended it. See, he says the story about when his father was in Brooklyn, and he was the Rebbe's accountant. And one day he had a stroke, Nebuch, and he got sick. And he ended up in the hospital, and the situation wasn't good. And Rabbi Telushkin was with his father, and he was looking after his father, and his father was getting depressed. And one day he gets a call from the Rebbe's office. The secretary calls and says, the Rebbe has an accounting question for your father. So Rabbi Telushkin tells the secretary, I'm sure you know him, we told the Rebbe that my father had a stroke and he's not in a good situation. He's sad, he's depressed, he's in the hospital. Are you sure this is the time for it? So the Rebbe's secretary tells Rabbi Telushkin, listen, the Rebbe knows this, and he wants to ask your father this question anyways. Could you please ask your father this question? Rabbi Telushkin's wondering, what's with the Rebbe? There's so many other accountants. The Rebbe's a Rebbe of so many people. Can't he find someone else in New York that could be his accountant? Why does he need to speak to my father now? But the Rebbe asks, so he obliges, and he tells his father the question, and his father answers the question. And later on, his father told him something so powerful that he said really moved him to think about what the Rebbe was thinking. His father says, you know, I've been so depressed in the hospital here. I had a stroke. I felt like I have no more value in my life. No one needs me. Everyone's taking care of me. All my needs have to be cared for. I can't go to the restroom. I can't get off my bed. I can't feed myself. Everyone's taking care of me. I feel devastated. But now, the Rebbe asked me a question and reminded me that I'm needed, that I have value, that there's something important that I can contribute that someone else couldn't, that he needed a question from me that he couldn't get from anyone else. And then Rabbi Telushkin says, now I understand what the Rebbe was trying to accomplish. Of course the Rebbe could have found another accountant, but the Rebbe wanted Rabbi Telushkin's father to know that he had value, that he was needed, and God needed him to do certain things. And that's what happens when Moshe turns to God and says, Yifkid Elokim Eskelekei Ruchos. May God find someone, a spirit for the people that will nurture the people. He says, remind the people. You make sure before you pass to remind them that I need a relationship with them. God wants a conversation with you. God wants you to know that you're needed, you're important, you have value, you're loved. I think that's one of the most beautiful, important messages that Torah gives us. And I pray and I hope that we remind our children of this every day. And we remind ourselves and our spouses and our co-workers and everyone in the world the value of each human being, the value of the relationship that God craves with us. And that as great and as powerful God is, He wants and needs a relationship with us, and that's the Torah. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. And I hope this thing stays with you and inspires and impacts the way you behave and act every day.